Great afternoon, Facebook. I thought I'd just come on today and share a couple of things with you guys. I've been watching some of your posts, especially the political ones, and I think they are very good. My hat goes off to you individuals out here who are really trying to share what you think you know and what you think may help people. I think it's very good. So I encourage it, keep it up. And it inspires me to come on and want to weigh in on things, certain things myself. So I'm going to have a little chat with you guys real quick about a couple of things that I think may be important to share with you. I'm sitting here drinking one of my healthy drinks here. This is the V8 Healthy Green. Real good stuff here. So, I drink this stuff, the V8 red, the tomato juice, the fruit juices. They're all real good. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was the power structure of the country that we really live in today. It has taken decades for certain individuals who have had these sort of plans for a very long time to get us here. But now that we're here, this is the sort of power structure that we live in. We have at the bottom tier of this power structure the people. And above the people are the politicians. Above the politicians are the corporations. These corporations are the individuals who have a lobbyist running all over Washington. These are the corporations who write the checks for the politicians when they run for office so that they have the money to pay for their political campaigns, commercials, etc., so that they can get elected. And these are the corporations who are basically have our politicians in their back pockets, Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, our president, even our judiciary. Above those corporations is the super banks that we have today. Bank of America, Citibank, Chase Manhattan, these sort of too big to fail banking institutions that we have out here today. Above them would be our Federal Reserve Bank. That bank is no more federal than Federal Express. It is a banking cartel which has total control over how and who issues our money. It has total control over the stability of our economy. They can create inflation. They can create stagflation. They can create an economic collapse at a moment's whim. So they are above the big banks that exist. And then the Federal Reserve Bank answers to the world banks. I think one is the IMF, is one of the world banks that exists today. So this is the power structure that exists. So we don't have a system anymore where our politicians can help us, where our president can help us, because why? They're beholden to corporations who, in a sense, don't have any more loyalty to America. And it's kind of sad because a lot of these corporations built themselves here in America. A lot of them, you look at some of the corporations like, you look back in the 50s, we had beautiful corporation here. We had Chevy, we had Ford, we had GE, we had the big plant steel makers, Bethlehem Steel. We had so many big homegrown corporations. These corporations looked overseas. They saw a way for them to make a cheaper profit, a cheaper product, and gain a larger profit. So they moved to countries like Mexico, China. They moved to countries that don't really have a republic, democracy, a constitution. They moved to countries that are communist. Some of them are fascists in a lot of ways, corporately fascist. And so they moved to these countries and they kept an open channel to the American consumer. where they could ship their products over here and still make money off of us without having any loyalty to the country, without having any loyalty to the country, to America, to its value system or its constitution. And you've got politicians now who are in bed with these individuals. And I just don't mean they're in bed with them. They're getting financially, intellectually, ideologically nourished by these same corporations who have no loyalty to this country because they have been doing business in communist, fascist, socialist sort of countries for decades now. And so they have no loyalty to us. And if they don't have loyalty to us, and these very politicians are beholding to them, how much loyalty do you think these politicians have to this country? And none. None at all. They have no loyalty to this country. And so what they do, simply, is pass laws that allow these corporations to get away with some of the most blatant, reckless corporate greed ever seen in this nation. And if you look at some of the net worth of some of these individuals who sit in Congress, in the House of Representatives, and who sit in the Senate, look at the net worth of some of these people. $20 million, $100 million, $300 million these individuals are worth. So when they pass these laws that protect the rich, they're not just passing laws for the corporations. They're passing laws that are protecting themselves, that are allowing them to be able to get away with criminal acts and making sure that these laws are in place to punish us for committing the same criminal acts. And this is the system that we live in. And this is why I always say that the only way that we're going to fix this thing and turn it around is that we as people in this nation is going to have to do it. We cannot depend on our politicians no more. They don't have the power necessary to make any changes whatsoever, period. They just are good at telling us what we need to hear. And, when we look at the president that we have now, Donald Trump, okay, and President Trump, he's the president, that's what I'm going to call him. When we look at President Trump, and before I start really going into explaining what I think the purpose he really serves, I'm going to weigh in on certain things, things that I've seen evidence of, that our presidents have never been elected. They have been selected and prepared. Isn't it strange to you guys out there how every president we have had since Kennedy has been the man for the times? He has always been this man that has fit the exact times that we were in. Now, all of us may not have voted for him. Some of us may have voted Republican or Democrat, and that opposite party president got in. But history always described these men as men of the times. Men that were there and sort of in tune to the issues that existed in society. Why do you think that is? Because the individuals that control society, which is these corporate, banking cartel, global elites, are individuals who have injected into society information, aspects, situations, and events that have corralled our thinking in such a way to the point where they know exactly where we're going and how we're perceiving reality. And they create these leaders that step up and are able to step right out there and tell us the exact lies we need to hear, because none of them have to actually do what they say they're going to do. They just have to get us to believe it so we vote them in office. And Trump is just one of them. Trump is an individual who I listened to his inaugural speech. I mean, some of the things that he said were perfect for the times. Washington has been making money and reaping the benefits, and you Americans have been shared in it. They've been ripping you guys off. And I'm going to give the power back to the people. Stop playing. If Donald Trump was really capable of doing anything close to that, they would have stopped him a long time ago. He's there because the global elite want him there. Period. If you look at what he's done since he's been president, he claimed he was going to drain the swamp as far as these sort of banker, Wall Street sort of individuals in Washington. And you look at all the people he's nominated. Look at the people he's nominated to office. They're all Goldman Sachs people. He didn't just throw extra creatures in the swamp. He threw extra black murk in the swamp so you can't see the creatures on top of it. So that's one thing that he claimed to do that he has not done. The wall, by the way, has turned into a fence now. It's not going to be a wall. It's going to be a fence. So if you look at this individual, to me, honestly, what Donald Trump represents is disaster. That's what he represents as to me. What is his role that he is going to play for the global elite? And we all know that they've all wanted this North American Union for some years, and they've been pushing the policies and laws to make it happen. The North American Union is a combination of Canada, the United States, and Mexico, where they could make a borderless nation, have a central government to govern everybody, get rid of the Constitution, and have it under a sort of totalitarian governmental rule. And Donald Trump, to me, represents the man to be able to not pull it off, but allow these global elites to pull it off, where they collapse the economy and could do it and get away with it without being blamed, because everybody has looked at Donald Trump and have really said to themselves that he really doesn't have the skills and the know-how to really be president. He's ran a business and he doesn't really know how to be president. So if something cataclysmic was to happen up under his watch, it would be perfect for these individuals who are really behind it, because everybody will point the finger at Donald Trump and not look at the individuals who are really guilty, which are the only individuals who really have the power to do this, and that's the corporations, the big banks, and the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, like I said, I've always believed that presidents are not elected, but selected. And Donald Trump was one of them. If you look, Donald Trump he gave an interview to People magazine back in 1998, in which Donald Trump said then that if he was ever to run for president, he would run as a Republican, because they are so stupid. They believe whatever Fox News tell them. I could tell them any lies I want and they would eat it up. He didn't say you would believe it. He said you would eat it up and his numbers would be great. I think they approached Donald Trump back then, back in 1998, and told him what his role was going to be, and prepared the times for him. And see, to understand what I'm really saying, you got to really understand how these global elite individuals really think. And I'm not talking about Rothschilds and, these European banking families, which a lot of you probably know about and heard about, which you like to refer to this loose term called the Illuminati. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the American homegrown industrialists, this rootin' tootin' capitalists like J.P. Morgan, John Rockefeller, William Vanderbilt, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford. I'm talking about these individuals. See, these individuals came on the scene and they wanted to control America. They wanted to be able to do whatever they wanted to do with no one to be able to stop them. And they saw not having power over Congress and power over a president could be dangerous for them. And they saw this under the presidency of Teddy Roosevelt. He came out with this trust-busting ideology, and he chased down one of the country's most powerful men under criminal acts, antitrust violations. And that was John Rockefeller. He had John Rockefeller on the run for some years. And it was J.P. Morgan who sat back and watched this and said, we can't allow this to happen no more. We got to control this. We got to be able to put our own man in there so this doesn't happen to any of us ever again. And that's when the plan and the plot begin to thicken in this country. They begin to commission some of the smartest minds in this country. You got Freud, Nietzsche, Reinhold Niebuhr, what's the other guy, the one that wrote Think and Grow Rich? They commissioned all these guys to study the natures of mankind. They didn't approach them. They sent their people to them and said, we're going to use this information to advance mankind. When they didn't. They got that information to totally use it to manipulate mankind. And they put together these vast think tanks, hired their own psychologists, psychiatric thinking individuals. They hired their own people and gave them this information with the sole purpose to use it to manipulate mankind. And this is why they've been so good at creating the situation that is perfect for their own leaders. They've been extremely good at it. So here we are now with this president, Donald Trump. And I said that he represents disaster. And he does. And they're preparing for it. They're preparing for the civil unrest that's going to happen under the presidency of this man. I don't know if you're aware or not. Homeland Security has ordered 1.6 billion bullets. High velocity rounds, hollow tips. The purpose of these bullets is to rip through barriers and rip through flesh. And when it hits flesh, it expands. The purpose of them are to kill. They've ordered 2,500 AMRAAM trucks. They've ordered 500 check booths and 35 drones. Now, what do you think they're going to use that stuff for? They don't need 1.6 billion bullets to handle illegal aliens. It's only 11 million of them. I know we have people in the black conscious community that feel that African Americans is under threat and under siege. It's only 45 million of us. And how many of us are part of that conscious community? They don't need 1.6 billion bullets for us. We have a lot of white anarchists out here who really look at the government as a threat to them and their right to bear arms. NRA members. They don't need 1.6 billion bullets for them. The bullets is for all of us. You know, my daddy used to say to me, anytime, son, you see a person preparing for something, it's probably because they have planned it. So whatever they're planning to go to war with us. They're planning for huge civil unrest. And I just see them using this man as a pretext to make it happen. See, this is why I don't watch football, basketball, I'm not, reality TV, entertainment. I'm not really into that type of stuff. And it's because I know what its true purpose is. Its true purpose is to distract you. It's to make your mind programmed to accepting information that only has embedded in it entertainment and not real information. And it can hide the real information right in your face by putting it in a structured form that's not entertaining. And you won't even look at it because you're so used to being entertained. I don't watch football. I could care less about the team. I ain't got no team. What I want a team for? Team don't give a shit about me. I could call the team and excuse my French, but the team don't care about me. I tell you what. Call your team and tell them you need your bills paid this month. See if they pay your bills. Seriously, call your team this month and tell them you need your bills paid and see if they pay your bills for you. See if they pay your bills. Period. That's what I want you to do. Call your team and see if they pay those bills. Seriously. I tell you what, I have seen times where I remember going to a game, Miami game one time, and I watched this Miami fan get beat up. And this was at a Bills game, Bills in Miami. Oh, and they beat this guy up bad. I didn't see one Buffalo Bill walk out and help him. I didn't see the Bills team come out and start hitting people in the head with footballs. Get up off of them. Or the Miami football team come out and help this guy. He was beat up. He was out there in pain while they was in the locker room drinking champagne. Let me tell you something about football. Any sports. And we've been sort of indoctrinated with this in society since we've been young. From little league sports, always have a team. It does two things. It serves a very distractive entertainment purpose, but its most dangerous aspect is that it subtly indoctrinates you to be against somebody else that looks different, that has a different aspect, that may have a different color, that may have a different perspective. I know you think it's innocent. You talk smack with a person, their team, your team. Y'all sit back, y'all bet your little money, y'all have fun with it. But you got to understand the danger of what this really does. See, when you allow your mind to be indoctrinated with a certain type of ideology, then you make your mind fertile soil for other similar sort of ideologies to be implanted in your mind. You understand what I'm saying? So it serves this purpose. Serves no good purpose at all, and this is why I don't engage in these things. I spend my time paying attention to what's really going on out here. This is why these people get so much money. Because the corporations who back them and pay them know exactly the purpose that they are serving. They love them because they're keeping you guys asleep. Seriously. Why they plot on you. 1.6 billion bullets. You better wake up. This Republican Democratic stuff that's got you guys at each other's throats is a bunch of bull crap. When it comes to the global elite, these people are on the same team. All you got to do is pick up a book and just and read how Congress works. Read how Congress works and you'll understand that these people work together when it comes to the agendas for the global elite. You got 3 different committees in Congress: joint committees, select committees, and standing committees. The standing committees is where all the government contracts and the fat and where these people get their palms greased. And you look at these committees and it'd be Republicans and Democrats sitting on the same committees together. They fight in public and they grab these over emotional simplifications that they know going to stir you up to hate each other. And they fight each other with these. But behind closed doors, they're working for the agenda of the corporations that have them in their back pocket. And they're smoking a big cigar and drinking a brandy and they're laughing at you guys. It's time to wake up. Become your fellow Americans' keeper. Shed yourself of the ideologies that they have programmed you to think on. Because they're planning something and they're planning something big. And you're going to wind up in a bad situation. I would hate to see any of you with some of these bullets in you laying on the ground next to you, a Democrat laying next to a Republican. You're a black power individual laying next to a white supremacist. And both y'all got the same holes in y'all. Why? Because the plan was never given to give a damn about none of you. It was to wipe you all out. Declare martial law, knock on the door with the military and the AMRAAM trucks outside your house and say, give us your guns. You better start waking up. Seriously. This is Uncle Joe signing off. You guys have a great night. Remember, become your fellow Americans' keeper. Love y'all. Peace.